Okay, Toastmasters, you know the drill. Unmute yourselves so that when I introduce our third speaker tonight, you'll be ready to give him that same welcome round of applause as he entertains us tonight. Jim Sims is delivering a Pathways Dynamic Leadership Project, Inspire Your Audience. Jim believes that one of the most powerful speeches that won the Toastmasters International World Championship of Public Speaking was in 2011. The winning speech, Just So Lucky, by Australian Jock Elliott. Tonight, Jim shares how he was so lucky as well when he met and became roommates to Jay Baby Bull #1. The title of Jim's speech is Remembering Mr. Kindman. Remembering Mr. Kindman. Please help me welcome Jim Sims. All right.
Come on, Jim. Woo. By a show of hands, how many of you have a real friend who would roll out of bed at 3 a.m. and come to your aid if you were in trouble? Well, Jock Elliott, in his 2011 award-winning speech, which I posted to the agenda of tonight's meeting, just in case you haven't had the opportunity to see that dynamic, wonderful speech, he talked about the friends that he had through the ages. He talked about the friends of his blood. He talked about the friends of his times, and he talked about the friends of his heart. The friends of his blood are the family members that he've known so long. The friends of his time could be a coworker, could be somebody in the military with you, could be somebody, a member of a Rotary or a Kiwanis club, or perhaps even a friend from a Toastmaster club. And the friends of his heart, friends of your heart, are your lovers, somebody who maybe you have a relationship with that challenging in this day and age, but hopefully lasts forever. A friend of my times, who was a friend for over 50 years, was Jay Cincotta. On March 14th, it's the last time I saw Jay, he and his wife Donna came to the funeral home in West Sayville, Long Island, much to my surprise, to offer their condolences on the loss of my brother, Richie. I was immensely surprised to see them. They had apparently seen something on Facebook that I had posted about the loss of my brother, who was a roommate for some 10 years. What I thought was amazing is Jay is such an affable and friendly guy that near the time they were leaving, he spent at least 10 or 15 minutes talking with a friend of my brother about baseball. He talked about the Brooklyn Dodgers. He talked about the Yankees. He talked about Henry Aaron. It was amazing how much of a conversation he had and what a connection he made. Jay died last Saturday, October 23rd. And it was something that came as a surprise to me. About 5 days before, Jeanette, his daughter, had posted something to Facebook about the fact that Jay was struggling, going through challenging times, and she was looking for things that might uplift his spirit. Not so much sympathy cards, but maybe jokes, informational stories, maybe inspirational videos. So I thought about that speech from Jock Elliott, and I shared that speech with Jeanette and with Donna, and I sent an email to Jay. Unbeknownst to me at the time, that afternoon, Jay had passed away late that morning. And in connection with the video of the speech that I sent, I also gave an explanation of why Jay was my friend and the connection that we had for over 50 years. I was kind of surprised that pancreatic cancer took him because he had been doing so well. He was one of only 20% of patients who could have a Whipple procedure because it wasn't too late. He had taken the chemotherapy for about 4 or 5 weeks and seemed to be doing well. So when he succumbed, it was a bit of a surprise. But I first met Jay in 1964 way back when, before any of you were born. And we were at Fairfield University together. And back then, in August of 1964, the New York Football Giants trained at Fairfield University. It wouldn't be unusual to see them walking along campus or even in the cafeteria, the players. And three of the players were Chuck Mersine and Tucker Fredrickson and Ernie Coy. They were rookie running backs who, along with the two returning running backs, were referred to as the Baby Bulls. And soon enough, Jay and I, we were on the field doing intramural football. Jay and I, we became known as the Baby Bulls. Everybody called us the Baby Bulls. Even to this day, my friend Dick, when he starts a conversation, he says, "Hey, Bull, how are you doing?" And Jay called me Bull as well. So we were the Baby Bulls. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about my friend Jay Cincotta. He spent 40 years in Nassau County Probation, and Carol Zelnick wrote an interesting sympathy to the website for the funeral home. And she shared about when they worked together in the DWI unit at the Nassau County Probation. They had a mentally challenged woman who had lots of emergencies, called them all the time. And one day she just walked into the office, and Jay and Carol spent a considerable amount of time speaking with her, reassuring her, so that when she left, she felt comforted. The next day, she called the office and she said she wanted to thank Mr. Kindman and Carol. And so Carol said from that day on, Jay was known as Mr. Kindman, and he earned it. And she said at the end of her little eulogy, she said, "And I miss my Mr. Kindman. And I miss my Mr. Kindman as well." And I know that tonight, where I should have been in New York. I told my son over the weekend, definitely I'm going up to New York. I'm flying up there. This is my roommate, my friend, the guy who got me into umpiring in 1992. For sure, I'll be there for the wake and the funeral. And then I called Dick in Cleveland, and I said, "Are you going to the services? Are you going to the funeral?" And he said, "I've had a lot of medical challenges, and I really don't think I should fly, especially with COVID and the airlines. So I'm thinking of not going." So I reconsidered my decision. And, you know, my wife had said, "You're 74 years old and the pandemic is still alive. Maybe you shouldn't go." So with regret, I sent that I wasn't coming. And I felt guilty because I grew up in a world where things were black or white, right or wrong. So I figured, well, if I don't go, that's not the right thing to do. And so much comfort for me that within a matter of almost hours, I got two emails, one from Donna and one from Jeanette. Donna said, "Jay wouldn't want you to endanger your life to come up for his funeral, and neither would I. We both love you and Tina, and I hope that one day soon I will be able to visit you in Tampa after the pandemic is over." And Jeanette posted a really interesting video. It was kind of great. She said, "You made the cut. I did the collages and you made it." There was a picture of you, a photo of you and my dad at a beach. You had on a snorkel gear and your smile on your faces were amazing. It was such a terrific photo. And I remembered that was when Jay and Donna came down 4 years ago, and we went to Fred Howard Park in Tarpon Springs, and we had a wonderful day. Mr. Kindman is somebody who touched many people's lives. I am fortunate to be one of the Baby Bulls. And I know that were Jay here today and I called him at 3 a.m., there's no doubt that he would answer the phone and be there for me in a time of need. Rest in peace, Baby Bull.
Our third speaker tonight was Jim Sims. And for Jim, we're having a round robin. So our Western timer, could you put 3 minutes on the clock, and I will start off and then I will go around for other feedback for Jim. First of all, Jim, I appreciated that you were brave enough to show your emotion and express how much you cared about your friend. and the fact that he's no longer with us. I like that you used his name in your speech, which personified him much better than I've seen in other speeches where others may have not used the person's name. I like that you went into detail as to what actually occurred because you did not make it to the event. And in general, Jim, I didn't see any ahs, ahms, or any filler words. As always, great job. And I like how you kept your composure throughout your entire speech. Anyone else with some feedback for Jim?
Yes, I do. Jim, I could tell your passion in your speech, brother, just by the way you're presenting. You can tell in your voice, like Wesley was saying, I mean, your emotion was there for sure. Your heart was in the game. There was a purpose for you to do this speech, and I really do admire that. I appreciate that, and it does not go unnoticed, sir. Well done.
Anyone else? Go ahead, Mark.
Definitely, Jim. I like your beginning where you asked us how many of you have friends like whom you can call 2 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, it made me think about all the friends and for whom I am grateful for being friends to me. And also, yeah, definitely, as everyone said, your emotion, I can feel that emotion. And also, I liked where you wrote to his wife about you not able to make it to it, and you giving the speech instead of, I mean, it is really wonderful actually of you. Thank you.
Go ahead, Brenda.
I appreciate the comments that have already been made. I too saw the commitment. I loved it. Who can you call? And for me, it brought that picture to mind. I would have liked to seen what the two of you looked like. Were you same size? Did you really look like baby bears? I'll paint a clearer picture of what you look like back then and what you look like now if you met. I mean, what would that have been like? Even without that, I felt the feeling and I felt the connection. I do apologize. I dropped the belt. I should have checked with all of my speakers prior to the beginning so there wouldn't have been a mix up. But aside from that, awesome job.
Okay, anyone else with feedback for Jim? All right, thank you, everyone.